I don't like that I can't bang on the table anymore. Bang on the gang. Okay. Okay. What's up? What's up, guys? Want to see what's going on out there in the world with Trump. Came back. There's actually another stream that I wanted to do, so I'm going to come back later. Do I even have notifications? Did you guys get any notifications? We want Trump. Let me see. It's packed out there. I don't know if Trump's showing up or what.
We know Jack Smith is there.
Yet.
We know two of the attorneys who are right now fighting cases on Donald Trump's behalf in other venues, very different cases. Todd Blanche and Chris Keyes here are the two attorneys who showed up.
I used up my notifications. Oh,
today.
1 more hour for the next notification. Okay, cool.
7 minutes past 3 o'clock here in the afternoon, already well underway.
Oh, I don't have any notifications. Oh, snap. All right. I guess that's okay, I guess. Amazing. Amazing grace. I actually have about an hour left to the next notification. But that's fine, because actually there's another thing that I actually wanted to cover for later. So I'll save it for that. Tracy, how you get a notification if there's no notifications? Did a notification actually pop up on your phone, or are you talking about you were scrolling on YouTube and you just happened to see me? There's no way there's notifications.
Who's in charge of the counterintelligence division at the Department of Justice, and he had been arguing in court during the course of the investigation to see if there had to be a special master appointed. So it's three people who are very familiar with the evidence sitting there at the prosecution table with former President Trump, who has now formally had a not guilty plea entered on his behalf, touching off what could be a long prosecution, David, complicated by the fact that it includes classified material. Whoever former President Trump chooses as his attorneys, at least one of them will no doubt need a security clearance. The judge will need a special briefing on handling classified material. And the discovery process, what evidence has to be turned over.
Let's see, live. Let's see what other feeds we got. I just wanted to pop in for a little bit. Go chasing waterfalls. Oh, you got Discord? Yeah, make sure you guys, if you don't have one, download Discord, because that's how a lot of the notifications are going through, because YouTube seems to be kind of hit or miss. Let's see what other feeds we got.
And then they're expected to make their way toward the Miami airport for the flight aboard the former president's private plane back to New Jersey. He is not expected to linger here in Florida very long. He may encounter some of these flag-waving supporters that are outside the courtroom and outside the courthouse on all sides, being kept at bay by a significant law enforcement presence. But otherwise, the former president intends to address his day in court with several hundred guests at his golf club in Bedminster, making a speech that will undoubtedly have the same political tones that his...
Let's see what they got over here.
Day.
Indict Jack Smith. So Jack Smith is one of the attorneys
now
for the prosecution.
There's a lot of other stuff going on today, too. I believe that... Let me pull... I screenshotted an email earlier, but we have officially... Yep, the Biden administration has announced additional security assistance for Ukraine. And I'm going to skim through it, but tell you that this is all roughly $325 million of the United States taxpayers' money. So that happened today. And I know that probably a lot of Americans are not happy with that, but of course they would do it on a day where the news isn't going to be focused on covering that. They tend to sweep these things in at such opportune times. Today, the Department of Defense, the DoD, has announced additional security assistance to meet Ukraine's critical security and defense needs. This authorization is the Biden admin's 40th drawdown of equipment from DoD inventories for Ukraine since August of 2021. It includes key capabilities to aid Ukraine's efforts to retake its sovereign territory and support Ukraine's air defenders as they bravely protect Ukraine's soldiers, civilians, and critical infrastructure, as well as artillery, anti-armor systems, and ammunition valued up to $325 million. So that was released by the Biden administration today as things are heating up here in Miami, Florida. They actually also came out in kind of a turn of events and condemned the topless transgender activist who decided to shake her breast with no shirt on the White House lawn. I mean, the trashiest thing you could possibly think of to happen at the White House is happening there. And I believe Karen Pierre and a few others have just mentioned that that they do not condone that behavior and it does not support the what they were trying to do, which I'm not really sure what that was.
What are they trying to do?
At least they don't condemn nudity on the White House lawn. I'm not sure. Really grasping for straws here. But it looks like there's a good amount of stuff going on in front of us as well. So in just a few minutes, we'll switch cameras and be able to get more into the middle of that crowd to show you exactly what's going on there. Again, tons of media here.
So I don't have any notifications apparently, but anyway. But I actually did want to come back because we're going to cover this Kohlberger stuff. There at that video that we didn't get to do the other day where the Associated Press was fighting or making their case against the judge to have cameras in there, which I really don't think they're going to go for it. That judge, I don't think the way I've seen things going in court, I think he's going to turn it down. And by the way, it's raining over here too, like water, like crazy outside. We just ran inside when I picked up Maddie. But I thought it would have been kind of cool to go out there, but I don't know. Some people were telling me maybe it's best I didn't go because it's kind of crazy out there right now. I don't. Green screen.
Guarantees it. I mean, the amount of support for President Trump is outstanding, and it seems that it's a unanimous thought amongst all of these supporters that the DOJ is just being absolutely reckless and impartial. I want to talk to you about my friends over at Birch Gold Group also. If you're like me and you don't trust our government with your financial future and the thought of losing your hard-earned retirement money to DC's reckless and politically motivated policies scare the heck out of you, well, you're not alone. Smart Americans are taking action while they still can. They're doing so by protecting their retirement savings with gold, with Birch Gold Group. When things are a mess like right now, precious metals can be the difference maker for your savings. Birch Gold makes it easy to convert an IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered account in precious metals. Here's what you need to do. Text Trump to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold. Best of all, sorry. Can you tell I'm on edge?
Yeah, but she's tweaking.
989898 to get a free info kit on gold. Best of all,
somebody like walk by her or touched her or something?
Penalties to make this move. Text Trump to 989898 to.
Okay, so we're waiting on Trump. Trump gonna show up. I don't even think it's gonna be something that's long. I guess they're gonna read him his charges. This is the overview of the courthouse.
Americans are gonna say, "What's in this indictment?
Right.
What do they got?
And also,
how does this compare to other cases? Is there a comparison
breaking
to Hillary
news.
Clinton? Is it fair? Is it unfair?"
GOP lawmaker introduces articles of impeachment for President Biden. Oh no, they didn't throw that Biden. This was 2 hours ago. Oh shit. You want to get dirty? Oh, well, get dirty. It's gonna be a dirty political run. I mean, it's always dirty, but it'll be especially dirty. Oh yeah, I'm excited for this shit. Yes. Let me send myself that video so I can show you guys. Lord. Imagine how insane it would be to take calls. If we actually had people viewing, I'd probably do it, but because there's not many people and we have no notifications. Burisma boss in alleged Biden bribe scheme claims to have 15 taped conversations with Hunter. 2 with Joe Grassley. Oh no, say it is Joe Biden. Well, that's Hunter, but still. Oh no, Lord. They're coming for everybody.
was a camera pointed directly on the former president's face as these proceedings got underway. And I do just want to take a minute to sort of describe his face to you. He had a frown on his face. He was slumped over in his chair. He at times had his arms in his lap. And it was not until the judge asked to arraign the former president that he actually sat up a bit. He crossed his arms. But David, his body language really told the story here of how the former president felt inside of that courtroom as he was arraigned, of course, not entering the plea on his own. He was actually looking down at the floor for most of the hearing.
He's not guilty.
Also note, and this was something we spoke about last time as the former president was arraigned in New York, what was so striking here, David, was that the former president was actually brought into that courtroom early. You'll note it was about 2:45 that the feed came up and the former president was already seated at the defendant's table. His co-defendant, Walt Nauta, was already seated next to him. Special counsel Jack Smith was already seated in the courtroom just over the former president's shoulder. And the former president, David, had to sit and wait for over 10 minutes until that hearing got underway.
Hell
He
nah.
was forced to just
10
sit
minutes?
there, David, to wait for the judge to enter as a defendant in that courtroom.
Excellent reporting. Olivia Rubin, who was in that overflow room studying that camera.
Was she a body language expert? Okay. So let me get this Gmail, open up my Gmail. So I guess Trump already pled not guilty.
This hour. We know that the former president was not asked to surrender his passport, no limit on international travel, no limits on firearms. These are the kinds of questions that do come up when you're facing, federal crimes. So obviously a very different case when you're talking about a former president. So again, none of those things have been asked of the president. Now, the judge did indicate, the federal magistrate judge did indicate that Donald Trump can have no contact with witnesses in this case. Only his counsel, to which it's our understanding that Todd Blanche, his attorney, pushed back on that point,
you want to see the
judge to reconsider. But the judge holding firm, at least for now, you are to have no contact with any witnesses in this case, which includes Mr. Nauta, the aide, who also faces one count in this federal indictment of helping, according to Jack Smith, and his team, helping Donald Trump hide these documents and not turn them in. That's significant because this aide was seen with Donald Trump over the weekend, John.
Oh, they just saw each other over the weekend. If you don't know what they're talking about, on the last stream we did a stream earlier today going over some of the indictment. The indictment is like 40-something pages long. I just went over some of the highlights, and we talked about this Nauta, this person that worked with him. And so now he's not allowed to talk with him. A lot of those pictures and stuff that they got with the boxes stacked of the confidential, the top secret documents, they got those images from those staffers' text messages. They were having text messages sending each other pictures of the shit, and I guess they got the pictures from their cell phones. So I don't know, bro. They got to do a little better than that. By the way, Wayne, thank you for the reminder. So we are going to come back in a little bit. We're going to watch this Kohlberger fight with the Associated Press that have been waiting for days to come out. We're also going to watch, there was this new special that came out yesterday with regards to Kohlberger and the online true crime community, the trustworthy true crime community. What's the name of that? I forgot the name of that video. It's by ABC. Let's see if I can find it real quick. The conspiracy people, I guess they're still going on and on and on and on and on, I guess. I've skimmed through the video a little bit. Also, I didn't know that people were still going on and on and on about that shit. I mean, we talk about it now. We're just kind of like, okay, this is when the hearing's going to be. We're watching some of the hearings, but like, I guess some people are still going down like this crazy rabbit hole and just like whirling and going around and just never ending. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't know people were still doing that. Okay, here we go. I got it for later. That's what I wanted. False accusations complicate Idaho murder case and the lives of the accused. I don't know. We'll check it out when we do that stream, see what they're talking about. Let's take a look at this as well. Breaking news.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, Joe Biden has failed the American people. He's failed to uphold his oath of office and preserve and defend the Constitution. From illicit family building, business dealings, and millions of dollars in bribes and payments to himself and to his extended family. Joe and his border czar, Kamala Harris, have allowed an invasion at our southern border, jeopardizing the lives of hundreds of thousands and killing hundreds of thousands with fentanyl. They have directed their border patrol to release illegals into our country unfettered. In fact, the judge even had to intervene and stop Biden's release program. Joe Biden has violated Article 2 of the Constitution to take care and respect the laws of this country. So, Mr. Speaker, that is why I'm introducing articles of impeachment against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Members are reminded to refrain from engaging.
Oh, let me look like the other video. They come for Biden too. Okay. FBI, let's see.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let's see what this is about.
Chair.
Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Abadi, let me just stay with you. You just started to answer Senator Blackburn's question that not releasing the 1023 or talking about it as a matter of life and death. Question of life and death, you said. Explain.
It is potentially a question of life and death
For whom?
With regard to the source of the information.
So, okay, so now we've confirmed that the document exists. That's progress because the FBI director initially denied that it exists. Why did he do that?
FBI official admits to doc alleging Biden took $5 million in bribes. Oh no!
We have already and previously acknowledged the existence of the documents.
Yeah, after you first denied it. Now, when a member of this committee read it, right, the FBI director, let's just get the record straight. The FBI director initially said it doesn't exist. Then Senator Grassley said, I've read it. Then he said, oh, okay, well, gotcha. I guess it does exist. Now you're going back and forth with members of this committee what's in it. Why don't you just release it? Is it classified?
The document is not classified.
Okay. Will you commit to releasing it?
Senator, we'll take that back and we will work with you in this committee.
How about just a yes or no? Will you commit to releasing this unclassified document that alleges that the President of the United States, has taken $5 million or more in bribes from a foreign nation?
The document has already been released pursuant to a subpoena to the House Oversight Committee.
Has it been released to this committee?
We will work with this committee within the parameters that are established to meet
Will you
the
release the
request.
document to the public? It's unclassified. Don't you think the American people have a right to see it?
Senator, the document, as you know, contains sensitive information that has bearing on the life of the source of the information, potentially.
You can redact the source's name. We do this all the time.
In some instances, Senator, and I know you know this, that is not sufficient to protect people. And that's what we strive and work to do each and every day. And I hope you would take that seriously, too.
Oh, I take it very seriously. But I also take seriously the fact that your institution has repeatedly abused its authority, has repeatedly targeted political opponents. Your institution is the one that went to the door of pro-life protesters with SWAT teams to try and intimidate people because of their speech. Your institution is the one that treated parents as domestic terrorists because of their speech. Your institution is the one that, according to the court, the FISA court, ran 278,000 unwarranted, probably illegal queries on Americans, right? That was your institution, correct?
With respect to the compliance incidents, yes, some of the other things you cited, we can take them one by one. They are not.
Compliance, you would characterize the unlawful querying 278,000 times of American citizens as compliance issues?
We've said before, I've said that totally unacceptable.
Who's been fired for it?
Individuals involved are handled through the disciplinary process.
Who's been fired for it?
We
administrative leave with pay or some bullshit.
have there in the case of the unintentional instance where something similar happened, we have fired people in the past.
Wait, I'm sorry. What does that word salad mean? The unintentional instance where some. What does that mean? Who's been fired for the 270?
This is good. Where's this happening? This is just like a snippet.
8,000 times.
Oh, the Senate Judiciary Committee probe Section 702. Oof.
To improperly or illegally query the database for American citizens. Anybody?
When we find intentional incidents.
Were you saying that the 278,000 queries were unintentional?
I believe that's correct.
Wow. 278,000 times American citizens' information was queried by your agency unintentionally? That's your testimony?
I would want to go back and check that, Senator. But
Well, that's what you just told me.
My understanding is that the vast majority of
Well, wait, that's different. You just said it was. You just said it was unintentional. Now it's the vast majority. Which is it? Do you know?
I would want to go back and check it.
So you don't know?
My understanding is that likely all were unintentional.
Likely all. So first it was all of them, then it was vast majority. Now it's likely all. So you don't know is the answer to the question.
I don't know the answer as we sit here today, but I will
Could have
find out
started
and I
with
will
that
get back to
probably.
you.
Who was fired for the lies to the FISA court for the Carter Page warrant? Who was fired for that? Anybody? Has anybody been held accountable for your institution deliberately lying to a FISA court to get a wiretap on an ongoing presidential campaign?
There is an ongoing disciplinary process with respect to individuals involved in that.
Here's the deal. You're back
Sound like a bunch of bullshit.
in front of us asking for the reauthorization of extraordinary authorities. Multiple courts have uncovered extraordinary abuses perpetrated by your agency. You are at the same time concealing information about serious allegations made against the President of the United States, even as your institution also targets his chief political opponent in an unprecedented way. Why would we ever give you the blank check that you want to continue surveilling American citizens in an improper manner? Why would we ever do that?
Senator, we're here to talk about reforms today. I did get confirmation that the query...
No, we're not. We're here to talk about the reauthorization of Section 702. Why would we reauthorize it, given your track record of abuse and illegal improper surveillance and political targeting? Why would we do that? Why would it be appropriate for this body to do that?
We've made
Just cuz.
significant reforms and implemented corrective measures. We've seen significant progress as a result of that, Senator. The
So you
queries
say.
that you mentioned...
Yeah, is he sweating? Somebody said liars should be sweating. Is he sweating? Look, it might be. I don't know. Can't tell. This 1080. I don't got 4K. If this should have 4K, we'd be able to see for sure.
early were in fact unintentional. That's what I was just told by my counterpart.
That is an
Clarify
amazing...
the earlier question.
So your testimony is the 280,000 queries of American citizens was unintentional. That's your final answer?
That's how they were assessed by that team that did the...
And it's funny. It's people that believe that shit too. Isn't that funny? Like some people that would believe that shit. Oh yeah, it's just unintentional 280,000 times.
review. I'm not satisfied with that. That's
Yeah, I
why
don't believe
we've
that at all.
implemented further measures, as I announced earlier.
Man, unless it's some like automated system that had some sort of whatever. But he just said that like somebody had some sort of disciplinary whatever, I think, over that. I don't know if it was that or he was talking about the FISA thing. I think he was talking about the FISA thing. I think he was referencing when they were tapping Donald Trump, I think.
Earlier today.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. And frankly, we've heard from your agency 1,000 times that you're going to do better, will do better. You promised after the abuses of Title I you'd do better, and then we find out that in the meantime you're illegal.
Okay. Let me see. Do we have another clip? I think we got another clip. Oh, this is the FBI Director Paul Abbott. Someone in chat, okay, was asking who was being questioned. Okay, yeah, that's the FBI Director Paul Abbott. Paul Abbott. I guess he's the other guy's replacement. Comey or whatever. What's the other guy? I still don't remember the guy's name. I saw him recently doing a interview or something. That Comey guy seems like weird. I know it's like weird to, is it weird to judge somebody off of their looks? But he just looks like a snake. I don't know, like, you know, like something about him. Like this guy, he looks like a reptilian.
80,000.
No, he reminds me a little bit of like, what's that Facebook guy? Mark Zuckerberg. You ever seen him do in, I think it was when Senate was questioning him or whatever. Mark Zuckerberg, Senate. That boy was sweating, bro. That boy was sweating. Mark Zuckerberg, that boy, he looked like an alien and shit. All this alien talk we got going on now. I think he's a reptilian.
15.
That boy.
Why'd you wait another...
Senator, that's a great question. Cambridge Analytica wasn't using our services in 2015 as far as we can tell. So this is...
All right, let me see. So the Trump stuff is done, I guess. Oh, let me show you the motorcade. I forgot to show you that. I saw a clip on Twitter here that we could watch since we missed it. And amazing, it's gone now. Amazing. Amazing. see, Donald Trump. I'll find it again. Let me see if this man was Donald Trump's son. Sorry. Mess. If this man was Donald Trump's son, would Democrats say he isn't important because he isn't the president? That's a funny picture. Where's that video at? There it is. Here it is. Okay.
At this hour, you can see the traffic halted on the interstate there to allow Donald
Rolling
Trump's
deep.
motorcade to. Our live pictures are live.
I don't know. They have a lot on him though. I don't know what his Trump's defense is gonna say. But just the bits and pieces that we're looking at for the indictment, that doesn't look good. I mean, they have text messages, pictures. I mean, conversations of like how they can maybe not send everything or maybe make it disappear type of shit. It's not a good look for sure. Baked Alaska. This guy, I caught up with Baked Alaska.
Second time in a couple weeks, so I guess we just got to see what happens.
You don't think that any kind of January 6th crap is going to go on today, do you?
I don't think so. A lot of people are out here. I know Dustin and Jennifer Lawrence. There's a bunch of people out here making sure that there's no shenanigans going on. So
good. We all hope so.
Yeah. Hopefully, we don't see another Ray Epps situation.
I know, man. Well,
this guy is kind of, I don't know if famous or infamous. Maybe infamous is the right word. I think he's gotten banned or I don't know. I don't remember. I think he was at January 6th. Yeah, he was sentenced for Baked Alaska was to 60 days in jail for January 6th. I thought he was banned from platforms. I'm not sure. Let me see. Baked Alaska banned. I've heard stuff about him, but I don't really know much. Twitter bans Baked Alaska. Twitter reinstates Baked Alaska. I wonder if he's on YouTube.
They hate me because I come down on the DeSantis side because DeSantis has said he's going to pardon J6ers. I think he's their best shot.
Yeah.
What do you think about all this Trump versus DeSantis stuff?
Yeah, personally, I'm Trump, but like, I think we should just choose the best person for the office. I'm not afraid of debate. I think we should have a debate. And I'll say this, DeSantis is a great governor of Florida. I live in West Palm Beach. He's done a great job here. Personally, I prefer Trump over DeSantis, but I also, I think there needs to be a debate because I do think Trump let some of the J6ers down a little bit because a lot of us have legal fees. A lot of us have gone through hell for the last few years and we haven't got a single dollar from him. And he's a billionaire and we went there for him. You know, I still love Trump, but...
Shit. He over here fucking... I went there for him. I mean, I guess it was obvious, but he's straight out saying it.
I think there are things we can definitely talk about.
And you were in jail for 2 months down here, right?
2 months down in FCI Miami, yes.
It was tough for you, wasn't it?
It was very tough. Yeah, very, very tough times.
Was Trump arrested?
2-year federal probation. I was on house arrest for 90 days with an ankle monitor. So yeah, check me out on Twitter, Baked Alaska on Twitter, and on Kick.com.
And you were just at the Capitol just as a journalist, videoing.
Court TV. So let me take that out. So when they say arrested though, is that something that like they put handcuffs on him, or maybe they don't even put handcuffs on him? They walk him, they sign some shit, and he walks right out. Arrested. Bloop bloop. You know, walk right out. Let me see. Court TV. Let's take a look. I was arrested and walked right out. Let's see, where's that thing at? Oh, hold on, sorry.
Touch anybody. I didn't break any windows. I didn't loot. In fact, I actually told people, hey, put that back. We're not here for that. We're here for a peaceful protest. And I was arrested by 20 U.S. Marshals, stormed my hotel. Crazy shit. We're living in crazy times. But hey, man, I mean, I respect you. You're a good influencer. I don't care. I'm friends with people that love DeSantis, Trump, Kanye, RFK. I don't care.
That's what I was talking to. I was talking to a friend on the phone for a little bit while I was driving to get the baby, and we were talking a little bit about politics. And I was telling her too, like I don't really say too much anymore. I mean, I think it's obvious. The people that know me or like the little insinuations that I make. But I don't really talk about it much anymore because people lose their minds. I have friends that agree, disagree, are on all sides of aspects. But then I've also had people that like, I can't talk to you anymore. I'm done. Oh my God. You know, it's just like, I feel like some of these people are kind of a little bit wackos. And so that's why I don't even talk about it too much. But I still find it like, you know, this is kind of big news in Miami and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of shit that happens. Like the previous years were crazy, but this one might be the craziest. And so with big events like this, I'll probably jump on for a little bit, see what's going on. I'm not losing my mind over this like some people probably are. I can't find that Court TV article. Let me see. Donald Trump surrenders to Miami court to face indictment. And it says former President Donald Trump is under arrest at federal courthouse where he faces related charges. Former Donald Trump surrendered to authorities at the federal courthouse in Miami. I don't think it's anything like they're actually going to hold him there. It's all like the process of shit. You'll probably just walk in, walk right out. Like Jared Lysick, book, mugshot, and fingerprints, post bail immediately and walk out the door. Yep. You just have to record. You just have a record. Oh my God, let me try that again. You just have to have a record of the paperwork for constitutional reasons. Yeah. He's. It's not like. I mean, I know it's technically arrested, but it's not. Some of these people, I'm sure, they're thinking like he's in a jail behind bars right now, and he's like crying or something.
I think as long as we keep the debate civil and we talk about the issues, I think we can have a constructive conversation.
Do you think he's going to go to jail for this, and do you think he's guilty?
Trump is leaving?
I,
And sounds from directly in front of the federal courthouse. We do have a few protesters out here, but not many. I've only seen a couple today. And when I say a couple, not even a handful, Christina. There's only a few. And everything has been very peaceful and typical fashion for Trump supporters.
And for the folks that saw the, whatever you want to call that, the podium of microphones of all the networks that are waiting for someone to come and make a speech, I believe it will be someone from the courthouse that will come and advise people of what happens at the arraignment. Like we said, he's free to travel. He did plead not guilty. There was no bond required, any of that. So I think they'll come and they'll give that information. But otherwise, I don't expect anybody from President Trump's team to come out and speak.
Right. And so that'll probably come tonight. We're going to be anticipating him this evening. Yes, he'll speak tonight.
Speak tonight in New Jersey, and this will be to let everybody know what's happened here today.
They had a helicopter following his motorcade.
So we have people chanting, we have people standing around, people walking around with their flags, people waving themselves from.
So they have, a podium there with mics. They're saying maybe somebody from the court. I thought it would be dope if Trump comes and says something. Thinking his personality, he probably would say some shit, but they're saying they don't think he is going to say anything.
Along the vicinity here for several blocks.
I watch them, Patty.
Snipers on the roof.
Sometimes.
Helicopters in the sky.
I watch both sides, but I mostly watch like one side, but I do watch the other side too.
We want to thank all of our law enforcement as well for being out here today and protecting the president as well as us. As always, we back the blue, and we are very appreciative for the work they put in. Still waiting for President Trump to exit the courthouse. Again, if you're just joining us, he has pleaded not guilty to the charges brought against him, the accusations brought against him.
Today is definitely a historic day, a sad reason to make history today. The first time a sitting president has indicted his number one political opponent, who is currently more popular in the polls than he is, and likely won the last election when they went head to head. We have officially slunk to a level where those in power will throw their political opponents in jail, or will try to anyway, or criminalize otherwise non-criminal activity on the part of their political opponent. So, and I do think it's interesting that all of these same people were telling Donald Trump, you can't indict Hillary, you ran against her, you can't indict Hillary, we don't do that here in this country, you can't indict all these people, you can't indict all of these people. And he leaves office and they indict him. They do exactly what they told him he couldn't do. So I think this establishment, this political class, is very concerned that the tables will turn if they don't successfully get rid of Donald Trump. I do not believe they will be able to successfully get rid of Donald Trump, but they're certainly doing everything they can to try. But I think America's going to come back stronger. Although today is a sad day, I fully anticipate that when President Trump gets back to New Jersey tonight, he's going to encourage the nation. He's going to show himself to be the strong leader that we all know and love. And I think the best days are ahead for America. They really are.
Are they?
I agree, and I pray for the best for our country and for our generation and the generations to come. Let's toss it over to Liz Willis to see what's going on where she's at. Liz?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Liz Willis. I'm reporting live for Right Side Broadcasting Network, currently outside of the federal courthouse here in Miami, Florida, where President Trump, the 45th president of the United States. Hey, how are you? Would you like to do an interview? All right, we're going to grab this young man real quick, and I just want to introduce yourself, where you came from today.
My name is Jose Galan, and I'm a Miami native. I've been living here my whole life. I was actually born in Cuba. I came when I was 1 year old, but this is my country.
I've seen a couple of shirts today. I just saw one walk past that said Trump loves Cuba. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, I guess he's probably the better one to do anything, I can't go with the left. I just can't.
So what brought you out here today? What made you? Because I saw you. You've been here for the past hour or two, and it's hot. Maybe you're used to it in Miami. It's scorching to me, but you've
spicy.
stood through
That's
it,
awesome.
You've been watching what's going on. What have you seen? So what brought you out here, and what have you seen?
What brought me here is to support President Trump. I've gone to every rally, so I figure with the good times, you got to be here with the bad times. So I'm here and just observing, little craziness here and there, to be expected, but it's all good. There's nobody, fighting or no craziness. I'm going to walk to my car now. Hopefully nobody chases me down.
I don't think anyone will chase you down. Do you think there was more support for President Trump or protesters against President Trump here today?
No, I think there was more people supporting the president, yes.
And my final question for you, as a, I guess, Cuban immigrant, I know you were only 1 year old, but do you think that is why you partially support President Trump, some of the failed policies that happened in Cuba?
Well, I support President Trump due to the fact that I already seen the movie once, and it cannot repeat itself. And it seems in the last 2 years, we are going downhill with no brakes. Absolutely, and I just can't. I mean, at one time, I did vote for Bill Clinton. I will say that much, I guess.
Everybody
I
love
didn't have
Bill.
to vote by then, so I missed that one.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Can't, and I can't.
Okay, I had sexual relations.
This is where we're at, and hopefully we'll get this place straightened out again.
Is that the motorcade?
The majority of interviewees that I've met, especially in Florida, they're from Cuba, and it's the same thing. They've seen this happen before. They don't want it to happen in the United States of America. I've gone to Cuba, and it is so beautiful, but their government is so corrupt.
Yeah, I know. You go there, and it's all beautiful. The rum, the smoking, the cigars. The girl, that looks beautiful.
That's how they lure you.
Yes, but, the thing inside, the people have to live at 90 miles away from here. I mean, too close.
I saw on the news this morning and a few weeks ago, and I don't know, this might be a bit crazy, but I think it was the Department of Defense. They were denying that China possibly has a spy base on Cuba, but within the past couple days, they're starting to have to backtrack and say that there's a possibility China has in fact gotten a little surveillance place to watch.
Basically, they're going to blame it on Trump. I think they did that already, and I mean, China, Russia, they've all been there 90 miles away from us. Too close. I mean, you could almost throw a stone if they had to. I mean, and when the Mariel boat lift came, I remember 1980, people were freaking out. Oh, Mariel, 100,000 people. In the last 2 years, I think we've had more than 20 Mariels. I mean, how many people have crossed the border? And we have to have some type of, something. We can't, middle, how do they say, military age men. Where are they all going? Where are they all
The
going?
media wants you to think it's like women and children. That's not really the case.
There might be some. There might be good people, and there's probably some bad hombres, as Bannon would say.
All right, well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming over, and just stay safe getting to your car.
I will.
All right, take care. Muchas gracias. All right, like I said,
Muchas
a good number
gracias.
of Cubans out here, Latinas for President Trump. A lot of supporters just came to show their support for President Trump, who they considered President Trump fought for the.
I didn't know that there was like a Miami. I guess that's what they were talking about. Maybe that's the tweet. There was like a Miami right thing. I guess this is based on Miami. Looks like. Well, this is the Washington Examiner stream, but I don't know. RSBN. Not sure what that
7
is.
counts. He has finished the processing, and he should be leaving absolutely any minute. Now, I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of turn around
Right,
and
straight,
look up. I know
and
there's a helicopter right over there, and my guess is that the helicopter will leave when the motorcade leaves. My guess is that it's going to be able to follow that motorcade down the road, give those big networks with lots of Soros bucks that the footage they want from some aerial footage of the motorcade going down the highways. We still have a lot of media here today.
She says Soros bucks. Let me see. I want to see if I can get another feed in case, maybe like another aerial view. Magnificent, fantastic Miami. Bienvenido a Miami.
And it is a warm day here in Miami, so a lot of people are just coming and going as they please. I don't blame them. You really do need to have some water here. It's been a long day. We got here around 10 a.m. and we're going to leave when President Trump leaves. We're going to...
Let's see, is that they're making a move?
When he talked to this room at Bedminster, because his supporters include a lot of the witnesses in this case. I think John Santucci actually alluded to that. But this will be a challenge moving forward because, again, it's a very tight circle around Donald Trump, and it has been sweeping the nature and scope of the number of people who are in his orbit, who Jack Smith and this team have brought in on this investigation.
Right. Look, I don't think it'll count if it's someone who's actually in the audience.
I
right?
didn't think that you would. Yeah.
But no, look, it comes back to actually some of the same legal issues we've talked about before. Intent, right? We talk about intent broadly about this indictment. It'll come down to intent. Was there an actual intent to violate the order? Did they specifically have a conversation about the case, or was it just some passing reference, et cetera? Look, I don't think this is going to be a significant issue because you're going to need someone reporting the violation. Right, you're going to need someone in the inner circle who's going to be going to the court and announcing that there has been a violation of the court's order. I don't expect that is going to happen, but if if there's something
heard that Carrie Lake was here as well. So those are just the only two, honestly, that I can think of out of all of them, even the Florida representatives. So of course, I'm curious to see who shows up at that
she deleted the
event later this evening.
She deleted whatever
Hopefully
she had.
everyone knows. I mean, this is kind of a bipartisan issue on whether or not the DOJ is interfering in a presidential election. That is some third world country stuff. That's why we have so many people like the Cubans who are here today support President Trump. They said, I've seen this movie once. I don't want to see it again. But that's exactly what's happening. And we're going to be here live to make sure you see every bit of it. You've got the come and take it flag rolling through right now. Do we have any updates from HQ? I do have a dead cell phone, so if anyone needs me, make sure to reach out to my lovely cameraman.
I want a dead cell phone.
Any messages to me?
I mean, I kind of have a phone that's actually dead.
Back over to Vanessa.
I pay for this shit. It's not even charged. I haven't turned it on in like months.
She's going to show you what they're all talking about. Maybe. So without further ado, Vanessa Broussard.
I want a dead phone. I want to be able to say that. Reach me on a dead phone.
We're back here in front of the courthouse in downtown Miami, the federal courthouse. We look like we may be having a press conference of sorts soon. And we have a team coming out of the courthouse. They are moving people back.
Okay.
President Trump has pleaded not guilty on all the charges brought against him. No travel restrictions were imposed. So, thank you. So he arrived at the courthouse shortly after 2 o'clock Eastern, went in front of the judge at 3 o'clock, pleaded not guilty. And you still see people out here, the MAGA movement, battling the Texas-like. I'm a Texas girl, so I know what it's like. It's a Texas-like heat. It's hot out here in Miami.
Miami.
They've been chanting. They've been singing patriotic songs. People love their president. And they'll battle, as you can see, any type of weather conditions to support President Trump. It's sweltering out here. And we've been out here for hours. Some of these people have been out here since the early morning hours, some as early as camping out yesterday. So we're continuing to wait for confirmation that this is wrapping up. And then we're expecting a possible press conference afterwards. We do not know for sure. We do see people from other media outlets maybe getting prepared for that as well, just in case they do have one. But President Trump will not speak here in Miami. He will be leaving here.
Oh, he's not? Okay.
Going to New Jersey and having a press conference there at 8:15 Eastern tonight. Our Brian Glenn is there preparing for President Trump's arrival, and we will have live coverage here on RSVN for that. So make sure you tune in to hear the full speech from President Trump tonight about his feelings on the indictment today in court, and also the future of America. You see signs like this man in front of you is holding. The system is rigged. The Bidens are criminals. The man behind him with the sign, "Stop the Witch Hunt." And that's pretty much all we've seen today. Just people walking around, holding their signs, flying flags, wearing...
Okay, let me see something else that was sent to me. I guess Trump's not going to make a speech, so I don't know. I'll hang around for a little bit more. And then I'm going to chill, and I'm going to prep this other... Oh, hold on.
Smith glancing back at Trump at times, and his lawyer, especially when his lawyer said most certainly Trump pleads not guilty. Of course, the tension, as I'm sure many of our reporters have told you, came in the courtroom around who exactly Trump should have contact with.
I love
the
that we
judge
can
laid
communicate
out
with
at
each other.
first that Trump should have no contact with witnesses elect through counsel, no contact with the co-defendant in this case, but emphasizing that since Walt Nauta works for the former president, that he would only allow that to be contact about the facts of this case directly. Now, Trump's lawyers did make a very forceful argument inside, saying that that would be impossible because many of the witnesses or victims in this case could potentially be a lot of people that work for the former president. As we know, a lot of these classified documents were found at his Mar-a-Lago resort, in the bathroom, in the ballroom, in storage rooms. It was clear at one point that the former president was eager for this to end. When the bond was brought over for former President Donald Trump to sign it, he pulled a pen out of his jacket, signed it very quickly, his lawyers pouring through it. Well, turns out they skipped a couple of pages. That bond actually had to be brought back to that defense table 3 times, so much so that the judge remarked, "Third time's the charm."
Damn.
And then, of course, Walt Nauta not necessarily having a permanent legal defense team there today, and so he will not be arraigned for another 2 weeks.
He need an attorney.
Sitting
You don't got an
inside of
attorney?
that courtroom
Nada?
for such a historic arraignment today, I will tell you, I was just struck by the number of Secret Service in the room, so much so that the first 2 rows behind the former president were completely empty. I was struck by the president's mood. Again, at times, his arms crossed for most of this arraignment. He leaned forward, he leaned back, only glancing at the prosecutors occasionally, but for the most part, his eyes were staring forward straight at the judge. And when his arms weren't crossed, he was hunched over the table. Shoulders were slumped. And David, of course, as we are covering this unprecedented
we got the helicopter.
one thing that certainly sticks out here is the fact that the judge said the words former president
people running
before the criminal defendant's name. And of course, in this case, that is Donald Trump.
Rachel Scott.
What's so crazy about that?
From that courtroom, we're watching the motor.
What stuck out to me is the judge said former president before he said his name. Okay. And so we got an aerial view. Interesting. The motorcade. He's got to fly out to New Jersey.
Great words. We're going to put those in the dictionary.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here today. We're here in solidarity to support Trump.
I tell people, why do you like Trump? I said 5 reasons. So what is that? That T stands for truth. He tells it like it is and scaring the hell out of people in D.C. That R stands for results. And that U is unifying Americans. We're tired of all talk, no action politicians. And that M, he's a man of his word. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to get it done. And that P, he's a patriotic American like all of us here today, successful businessman, the only one qualified to keep and make America great.
I agree with you, and I like that, how you spelled out Trump with the meanings of each letter. Let's talk about Florida. We are here in Florida. You're with the Republican Assembly. We're seeing people from all of the country move here because it's a free state, and we're seeing a lot of Republican wins from school board elections to local elections. Talk about the fight to keep Florida red.
Well, I think right now the biggest thing is that we have to look at finding common ground. This divisive type behavior that I'm seeing with thy neighbors. Love thy neighbor. Let's get together. Let's focus on 80-20 rule that Ronald Reagan always famous for. 80% of the time, let's focus on 80% of things that we can work on and agree on. The other 20%, leave it at the door with your ego. Here in Florida, listen, I'm really proud to be here in Florida. I'm a retired Navy chief, Gulf War veteran, and excited to be in the state here. Really pleased what Governor DeSantis done here, although I don't approve of him running for president. But I think he'd do better to stay here like he promised to do and get behind Trump and endorse him. I'm kind of disappointed that he's not here shutting this crap down.
We brought that up earlier. He was not here today. Being from Florida, I'm sure you know a lot of people here today, and then also with the Florida Republican Assembly. How did that make Floridians feel to know that DeSantis was not here?
3 letters. MIA, missing in action.
Oh.
That's probably the best way to put it. He has a job responsibility, and that also goes and close for the J6ers. He should be out there getting those J6ers out of jail. You should be calling out Biden, you either prosecute or you let him go. He represents our Floridians. There's 105 Floridians in J6ers that need to come out of jail. Been over 3 years. Shame on our governor for not stepping up and calling them out.
Back to President Trump. High hopes that he'll pull through this and be back in the White House.
I think he'll prevail. Listen, God's with him. If you don't know, the Florida Republican Assembly, we're now affiliated with the RPOF, the RNC. We're our own entity.
Ooh, thank you for
we're
the
a
clips,
Judeo-Christian organization. Here, God runs the show. I'm just one of his first lieutenants to make sure to get the job done. But I think he'll prevail. We love Trump, and we think that at the end, God will protect him.
Absolutely. Well, it was very nice meeting you. Tell us your name.
My name's Louis Marin. I'm the Executive Vice President of Florida, and I hope you all have a God-tastic day.
God-tastic and Trump-tastic.
Amen. Thank you, Dave.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your service.
Pleasure to serve this country, and I'd do it again.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So just... yes, it's going to have to be a few minutes because we are live on air right now.
Shit.
So if you'll stand by for just a second. So you're seeing that right there. We have veterans out here. We have people from Republican parties
she's working.
all over Florida right here. And it's just God-loving, America-loving. And that's what it's all about. It's people who love God and people who love America. And who is the one candidate that stands out when you think of that? President Donald J. Trump. That's why we're here. That's why we're not going anywhere. We will be by his side. We are locking arms.
Obviously, as the former president, you become accustomed to not waiting for much, particularly when the stakes are this high. I don't know if you were in the courtroom at that point.
What's about the 10 minutes?
Obviously, as the beginning, that the president was sort of pieces of color that came from the room was the wait in the beginning, that the president was seated for a time, waiting, we were told, up to 10 minutes or so for the federal magistrate judge to
Is that a big deal or not?
We took note of that, too, because obviously, as the former president, you become accustomed to not waiting for much, particularly when the stakes are this high. I don't know if you were in the courtroom at that point and you witnessed that as well.
Yes, David, so I was in the courtroom likely for probably about 7 or 8 minutes before the arraignment actually did begin. And I did notice this is when Trump did appear the most restless. He sat with his arms crossed. At times he was sort of swaying. This is when I saw him cross his hands sitting on the desk, at times fiddling with his thumb or moving his hand behind his ear at one point. he was looking around to see when exactly this would begin, and we were wondering what the delay was as well. Obviously, there was so much security, Secret Service in the federal courthouse behind me. It took a while for members of the press, for members of the public to get in that room and to be seated. We all had to be screened before going in. So that is likely probably some of the reason for that delay. But the former president, again, was sitting there for a period of time waiting for this to begin. And something that you just mentioned, David, this is the former president of the United States. Things typically start when he wants them to start. He's never commanded to rise as he was in the courtroom today, to sit through and listen to everything that the judge was saying, the back and forth between his defense team and the prosecutors. And you could tell that he was ready for this to be over with. He was ready to move on, ready to enter that not guilty plea and get out of the room.
And one last question for you, Rachel, just to give you a break. Excellent color here from the courtroom. Did the president utter ever a word during the proceeding today? Was there ever an exchange with the president and the judge over anything?
He did not utter a single word. Obviously, the judge was communicating to the former president, especially when directing him not to communicate with witnesses or with the co-defendant about the facts of this case. But it was Trump's own lawyer that entered the not guilty plea. It was Trump's own lawyer that obviously pushed back against some of what the prosecutors were pushing for here. The former president did not say anything. But David, I cannot underscore enough how the mood and the demeanor, his body language communicated so much what the former president was feeling. Stern, stoic, at times restless, and he was ready for this certainly all to be over, David.
Rachel Scott, who made her way back down from that 13th floor courtroom, having taken copious notes we could see there for a time, Rachel, and we really do appreciate it because in cases like these, and as we just passed the 4 o'clock mark here in the East, John Santucci, you have learned that there's going to be a stop here for the motorcade. Talk us through that and then where the motorcade heads next.
So, David, I'm being told in real time, per sources close to the former president, that they are indeed making a stop at a local business. We're not sure exactly what that is. This was a conversation that I had been heard for the last couple of days, that before heading back to the airport, before heading back to Bedminster, there were conversations about getting out there, showing the former president. Because, David, you noted earlier at the start of our coverage, we haven't seen Donald Trump so far.
That would be amazing.
We didn't see him exit Doral like we saw him exit at Trump Tower. We didn't see him yet board a plane or anything like that. And we didn't see him enter court. So a conversation amongst the campaign team is that, look, we need to show our guy once we get out of court. We need to show people that he's tough, he's strong, that he's resilient, defiant. And I think that body language demeanor that Rachel is talking about right now, we have heard he is quite angry for the last couple of days. I imagine, David, wherever this motorcade is heading right now, and we're checking with our sources, that is Donald Trump that we're going to see in some way, shape, or form.
Any way to know yet, John, whether he's traveling alone again
well, he doesn't drink,
on the backside of this motorcade?
I do, David. He is alone in the motorcade. He is just with the Secret Service detail. The cars are manifested in a certain way, so my sense is that that actually held, that he is in the same car by himself with the agents, the lawyers right behind him.
John Carl, the former president, by himself. This is surely sinking in, and you have
that is his thing, though, right?
Santucci has reported
burger, McDonald's with a Coke,
is fully aware of
Diet Coke or
what's
some
at stake
shit
here and the gravity of what he's facing.
And the contrast.
I've always felt like if you're gonna drink a Coke, you might as well drink the regular Coke. I don't understand, like, because then they say like the Diet Coke is just as bad or worse or something. But some people prefer the Diet Coke. They like to taste the Diet Coke more.
We'll hear the attacks on the special counsel. We'll hear the attacks on the FBI, on the deep state, all of the greatest hits of Donald Trump portraying himself as a victim. But the bottom line is, when he was in that courtroom before that magistrate judge sitting in front of Jack Smith right over his shoulder, what did he say? He said nothing. He was entirely silent. He had a right to enter his plea on his own. He had a right to speak. He certainly could have looked at Jack Smith. He could have turned around. He could have said something to him. He said nothing. He was silent. His demeanor described now. We've heard from Rachel Scott. We've heard from Olivia Rubin. This was somebody who was clearly cowed, uncomfortable, didn't want to be there. Not the kind of Donald Trump that we're accustomed to seeing. Hunched over and silent. be a very different Donald Trump we see when he stops by wherever he's going to stop.
Yeah, and it's our understanding that we're about a minute or two away potentially from this stop at a local business in South Florida, as John Santucci reported a short time ago.
I'm curious where he's going to stop.
Calculation by those around the president who are helping to make these campaign decisions moving
This is better
forward,
quality,
that they
yeah?
needed to show their candidate after this moment in history, appearing, they hope, in a moment of strength at a small business of their choosing on the way to the airport. And again, as John Carl just pointed out, and as we've said before, he will then fly back to New Jersey. He'll hold a rally tonight. He'll likely return to some of the very same talking points. And if history predicts what we'll see in the coming hours and days, there'll be fundraising attempts off of what we saw. And that will likely work because it does rally his core
Ooh, where's he going?
Many who do support and follow Donald Trump obviously have huge questions and huge reservations about what they have seen play out today. Then there's another part of the country, and the polling shows this, that believes that given what is included in that 49-page indictment, that the charges
I want to go eat there now, whatever that is.
very polarized country, very difficult times, but not a difficult indictment to read for anyone. The opinions of that indictment, though, are varied, and we know that. It's the Versailles restaurant in South Florida, we're told, which is where the motorcade is now stopping. These are decisions made by the campaign, and of course, that is always vetted. They're not going to pop into a place unexpected after a 37-count sort of indictment in federal court. John Santucci, this is a decision they wanted to make.
Big business for them, right?
A moment of strength.
Very Sailors? I think I've heard of that place.
This was indeed a moment that they wanted to have, David, an image they wanted to capture. I'm told that this was a business specifically picked to get out there and talk to voters. And as our colleagues Gio Benitez and Victor Arquendo note, they both covered Miami, Florida. This is a stop and a location that many political candidates have made over the last 50-plus years. It is a
Cuban restaurant,
well-known restaurant in the Cuban community, a key
has a lot of reviews
block for any political candidate, but especially for somebody running for the White House a third time, as we know, with Donald Trump. But this is something that, it's funny, I've covered Donald Trump for nearly a decade, David, as you know. These are stops that Donald Trump doesn't typically like. I've been to diners, I've been to restaurants, I've been to Hammeries in South Carolina with Donald Trump. These are not the things that he typically enjoys. But I think for moments like this is where the campaign team won. I'm told that Trump was hesitant to make this stop for the last couple of days, but the campaign team saying very clearly, we need to get out there, we need to look strong, let's do it. Clearly, David, that's where we are right now.
Why do you think he doesn't like these stops?
It's interesting. It puts Donald Trump in a setting where, we know this is a guy that even pre-COVID was a bit of a germaphobe.
It's overrated, J-Rod?
Like always the gland handing and the shaking hands and being around people. But clearly,
J-Rod, you ever been to Las Vegas? How do you think this place compares to Las Vegas? Because I like to go to Las Vegas a lot. That restaurant, the Cuban restaurant.
The press and said, so what am I supposed to do? It's a little awkward for Donald Trump. He's not like most families that end up
fries and ketchup with a side of steak.
It's not something that typically Donald Trump does.
And here we see the first images now. Again, Donald Trump making a stop after appearing in federal court here this afternoon in Miami. He's at Cafe Versailles. This is Little Havana, and this is a popular spot for the campaign trail, part of the Cuban exile community. Cheers for the former president there.
Wow.
Indeed, shaking hands. And some smiles. And of course, this was a decision made by those in this small circle that now travels with Donald Trump. Go ahead, John.
We were just looking at these pictures with you, David. We're looking to see if Walt Nauta is in the restaurant with him. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's obviously in the motorcade, and as we showed the images earlier, by his side. But we do see his Secret Service detail right with him. See some advisors as he's working the room.
Is there any plan, John, for him to address the cameras at this point?
We've heard that was something that was possible, David. I think they were going to work through the logistics of the room. You can obviously see that it's quite crowded right now. I know that was something that he had hoped to do, to at least speak to a camera. We know that the pool camera, that's, of course, one of the networks that's picked to travel.
Vegas is okay.
The pool camera is something that's right there trained on him. Trump knows, as you well know, to find a camera, so it's certainly possible.
Ooh, Casavana. Okay, Miami Lakes.
Communism will not come to our shores. Talking with members of the Cuban exile community there, Terry Moran, and not surprising that his political team in this campaign would suggest, you know what, you should make a stop here on the way to the airport.
Should make a stop because this is the plan to make his personal trial on criminal charges in the federal court in Florida part of his political identity and bind the two as tightly together as possible so that the prosecution of him is the persecution of
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Yesterday for the 5 gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm sorry I forgot to mention that yesterday. So I made a little note of it. I feel like we need a drink or something, yo. Oh, his birthday's tomorrow. Go ahead, myself and Donnie. No, this is so strict. This is bizarre. I don't get it.
What a great group.
Come on. No, Kathy, don't say that. Kathy, no.
New York Times right there. It's a great photography.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. That was great. Really nice. Thank you. Are we getting, I think it's going great. I think it's a rigged deal here. We have a rigged country. We have a country that's corrupt. We have a country that's got no borders. We have a country that's got nothing but problems. We're a nation in decline. And then they do this stuff. And you see where the people are. We love the people. And you see where they are. You see the crowds and everything else. We have a country that is in decline like never before. And we can't let it happen. I'm going to make a little speech tonight in Bedminster. And I hope you're going to be there. Can you start tomorrow? You're going to be there. You can come too if you want, okay? Thank you, everybody.
Well, you're not going to eat?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, hell no. Hold on. He's not going to eat?
Oh, I love that. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Moving.
The hell's the camera person doing? Well, no, he ain't even going to eat. Oh, look at them running too. Running. Go. Cover, go. Move fast now and sync. Go. Chaos. Run.
SI Bakery, a Cuban bakery, we understand, makes his way back into the
You think they set up snipers on the roof or not? It's not that serious.
airport to head straight to Bedminster, New Jersey.
So did he really pay for everybody though? Is it on everybody, or did the restaurant? Is it like a what's the word? Not pro bono. You rub my back, I rub yours, or I rub my hand. I don't know. You know that bullshit? What did it say? Pro quo say or some shit? Is it some shit like I bring all these people and all these national networks for you? I mean, all this business towards you because that's really national publicity television, like really good for that restaurant. But he's not even eating there though, bro. I figure you got to eat with you got to sit down and eat with the people. Maybe you don't have time for that though. You probably don't have time for that. Or at least take a bite or something like a plantain or something. You know, take a bite of a plant, like smile, just like botone, plátano, carne, something. Quid pro quo. Thank you, T-Bag. You know I'm lost. Thank you. Ass-tastic. What's up? They muted the volume on this other feed. They're still in the restaurant. Oh, I figure eat something, like a little plate of something. You know, you got to break. What is it called? Break bread. You sit down with the people a little bit. I mean, I'm sure he probably doesn't really have much time. He's probably eating in the motorcade, I guess. What, they got like a microwave in the motorcade? Probably not, right? Or like a little ice cooler in there. Let me show you. So he's out. He's out. Let me show you this other feed real quick too. This was at this one's on a delayed thing, I think. They're getting ready to leave. See, this one they're already in the vehicles, but this one you can kind of see a little bit better quality. Them boys rolling deep. They don't have the right kind of ketchup. I love ketchup. I know some people that don't like ketchup, but I don't really like tomato. I don't like the whole tomato. I'll eat like diced pieces of tomato and I have it in my food, or like salsa I love. But like the whole tomato where that gooey inside that looks like alien something inside, the gooey thing, all that weird texture stuff going on in there, I can't do that. McDonald's on the plane.
They're still honking their horns, but the action is at the Versailles Cuban Cuisine Bakery, as I read from their sign. The motorbike outriders look like they are on the move, and they are leading the motorcade with the Secret Service detail that guards a former president. He'll be back in the aircon conditions, no doubt, of those vehicles as he makes his way towards Miami International Airport to get on Trump Force One, as they colloquially call it, the Boeing 757, which will fly him back north.
I'm not trying to
a moment too for those people who were inside the rendition, if I can say it now, of Happy Birthday for him. He's heading to a fundraising event tonight, and certainly when he posted on Truth Social earlier, he talked about the indictment that he's facing, or he faced today, and the arraignment, and then asked for money. And every moment for him is part of his campaigning to get the Republican nomination. And as he said at the weekend, the small dollar donations are in record figures. This is free publicity for him at this stage in the campaign.
Yeah, he sees an opportunity, and he's using it, and you can see the skill. You can see that he is doing it very, very well.
You have to.
Last night we went to a Republican fundraiser.
I mean, that's the smart thing to do. Take advantage. Even makes, I don't know what's the saying, but in a bad situation, make the best of it or whatever. Like. Might as well, shit.
Your wallets. I want you to empty your wallets over the next 12 months. Give the money to Trump. Give the money to the Trump campaign so we can save the nation. And the arguments are put in these existential terms. The country is on a precipice. The country's in decline. We've got to save it. We've got to act now. And there's an audience for it. There is a ready audience for this. But I think it was interesting last night. We heard from several speakers, including Carrie Lake as well.
Oh, I got to play that clip for you guys.
A couple of the speakers said, look, we also need to reach out to swing voters. We need to reach out to independent voters. We even have to speak to Democrats, she said. We've got to help them find that hidden Republican part of themselves that they have long buried. We need them as well. And I think that says, interestingly, that there are a lot of people in this country who are not necessarily akin to Trump's message. They're not attracted to this. They find it difficult. All
right, so let's take a couple of clips. We'll look at a couple more things before I head out, because then I'm going to take a little break, and then I'll prepare the next stream that we're doing in a bit.
To Larry Elder. That brings me to my second announcement that I'm going to make today. This is an announcement of a letter that my campaign has sent to every other campaign in this race.
What?
To Mike Pence.
Who's this?
To Nikki Haley.
Ramaswamy?
To Larry Elder. To RFK Jr.
Ooh.
To Marianne Williamson. To Doug Burgum. To Perry Johnson.
At least all the wallets are empty from COVID.
To Chris Christie. To Ron DeSantis, the governor of the state where we are today, who by any measure is not here today in his own state.
Oh, shit.
I will tell you that we have sent this letter, and I'm happy to announce this is my commitment on January 20th, 2025, if I'm elected the next U.S. president, to pardon Donald J. Trump for these offenses in this federal case. And I have challenged, I have demanded that every other candidate in this race either sign this commitment to pardon on January 20th, 2025, or else to explain why they are not. And I will tell you something. It's going to be difficult for those other candidates to sign this letter. The reason it's going to be difficult for them is the same reason it's difficult for me. The donor class has been calling every Republican candidate and telling us to stay away from this, not to touch it from a 10-foot pole, not to just keep your distance away for Trump. That is what the donor class is telling us. That's what they're telling the other candidates. I refuse to abide by being a disciple of the donor class. I think that we need to declare independence from our donor class in the Republican Party. That is why I challenge every one of the other candidates to actually act on their convictions. If you're not going to pardon President Trump on January 2025, you deserve to say why, and we will hold you accountable, just as we're holding the Biden administration accountable. That's what we need more of in this country. Honesty, integrity, and actual purpose for our country in a way that puts America first, not our political interests first. And I'll close with saying this before I take questions. It would be a lot easier for me as a Republican candidate in this race if Donald Trump were not in it. But I don't want to win this election, unlike others, by eliminating our competition, by a federal administrative police state arresting my opponents. I want to do it the way that our founding fathers believed we should have, starting in 1776. That it is the people of this country where every person's voice and vote counts equally. That is how we decide who governs this country, not by a federal administrative police state. And I challenge the Biden administration with this FOIA request. I challenge my fellow contenders in this race with this commitment letter to say that we will pardon Trump on January 20th, 2025. And nobody, either Biden or the other contenders in this race, are going to be able to hide from that truth.
Oh, shit, that boy go hard. Woo. Whoa. He was going hard. He was going hard. That's a smart move to try to get people to like him. I don't know if people like him. I haven't really heard him before, but. Vivek Ramsaway says every United States presidential candidate should commit to pardon Donald Trump. I'm holding y'all accountable. Y'all better do it. What's this?
Guys, JD Vance here. I'm out on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, and I've heard from a lot of people that they're so frustrated, as I am, with the fact that Merrick Garland has used the Department of Justice for politics instead of law. And I think it's time we stop just whining about this problem and debating this problem and actually do something about it. So I've announced today that I will be holding all Department of Justice nominees that Merrick Garland will use, if confirmed, not to enforce the law impartially, which is his duty, but clearly to harass his political opponents. I think that we have to grind this department to a halt until Merrick Garland promises to do his job and stop going after his political opponents. Donald Trump is just one and the most recent example of the fact that Merrick Garland uses his department for political purposes. We have Catholic fathers harassed for their pro-life activism. We, of course, have violent criminals walking the streets after the 2020 summer of riots. And if you're letting the violent criminals go free and you're harassing Christian parents for their political activism, you're not engaged in justice, you're engaged in politics. Let's be honest about that fact, and let's make this department work a little bit more slowly until Merrick Garland changes course and actually does his job the right way. Thanks, guys.
Telling you, this is just the beginning. It's just going to be crazy. This is just the very, very beginning. I've said for years, Trump's the biggest person out of real estate. Since I was sent this clip, let's take a look.
Wiped.
What are they showing? Miami.
People that were most loyal to me are people that I didn't think would be. Some of the people that were least loyal to me are people that I think I would have treated them differently. I think I would have treated different groups differently. I would have wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal. You know, some of the people that were most loyal to me are people that I didn't think would be. Some of the people that were least loyal to me.
That's interesting. Charlie Rose, November 6, 1992.
Me are people that I think I would have treated them differently. I think I would have treated different groups differently. I would have wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. You know, I love getting even with people, but I would have wiped.
Discuss his views on loyalty.
You love getting even.
Oh, absolutely. You don't believe in the eye for the eye. You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. But anyway, but
tell me. I mean, you're going to get even with some people.
Yeah, I know. If given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that were disloyal to me. I mean, I had a group of people that were disloyal.
But how do you define disloyalty?
They didn't come to my aid.
Well, what did they do? They turned their back on you?
No, but they didn't do small things that would have helped. You see, I'm so loyal to people. Maybe I'm loyal to a fault, but I'm so loyal to people that when somebody's slightly disloyal to me, I look upon it as a great act of horror.
Interesting. Oh, that carry
Product of Joe Biden's fearful regime, she said, and we didn't see anyone objecting.
I love you, Donald J. Trump.
What's up? Hey, Ricky! Hey, bro! Hey, Ricky! Was that the song?
His shower room, his bedroom, other rooms. He doesn't play well, does it?
Well, I think it doesn't play well for Joe Biden either, who has him in his garage.
Oh, shit.
If the former presidents made mistakes, the Democrats have done worse. And the Republicans of Florida, well, they have a nation to save. John Sparks, Sky News, Miami Beach.
These people just celebrating. Ain't nobody going to war and shit away. Everybody's like, hey! There's a reason to drink, go out, party. Let us let your man out. Well, these other people are like really angry and, you know, fighting with each other and having fallouts with their family and shit. Let us let your man out. I used to get caught up back in the day, though, years ago. I used to get really caught up in stuff, but I don't know, you can't like get like that. Anyway, so yeah, I guess we're done for now. I guess he's gonna make a speech tonight. Let me see. I have one more notification, which I'm gonna save for a little bit later. I'm gonna schedule a stream. Let me double check what we're looking like. I guess we've kind of had a busy day, so I have one notification left, and then the next one will be in 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Shit, like, fuck, 9 hours, something like that. So yeah, probably not count on that unless there's a chase in there. So I have one notification left. I'm gonna do it for the Kohlberger stuff, so we can talk about it. We'll switch it up a little bit later, but yeah, man, whoever follows politics, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be very, very interesting. Don't mess up my Destiny Child. Noise complaint. Yeah, I've only had that one so far. I mean, I do kind of yell a lot and stuff. That's what I liked about my other place. I yelled and I didn't really, because it was an apartment, but it was its own structure by itself. It wasn't like attached to other, like this one here's multiple apartments and stuff. So they probably hear me sometimes yelling, or maybe when they walk by outside, they hear me yelling and stuff. Yo, I know, right? T-Bag says, how do we buy you more notifications? I don't know. YouTube's kind of tripping with that. Motorcade. There's the airport. Just go to the airport. I don't like. I mean, I've only been to Miami International, I think, once. It's a lot of chaos over there. I prefer Fort Lauderdale. I think they're by the airport now. maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Because they're not going to be able to fly over there either. There's the motorcade. Yeah, I don't think they can follow along anymore. I think that's why they stopped. Yeah, it's definitely the airport. The tower. So yeah, they can't because it's restricted airspace. This camera I'm showing now, I think it's on a delay. This main one here is more current. This one's on a slight delay, but the helicopters, they can't go any further. They might have on the ground cameras out there. I don't know, but you just got a notification I went live? What? Whoa. All right. Well, I'm gonna get out of here for now. I'm gonna set up a live maybe 2 hours from now, I think, just to give me a little bit of time to do nothing. Not just to set up the thumbnail, give myself, maybe I'll go work out for a little bit and then go take a shower and kind of like reset, refresh for the next live. So I'm thinking, let's see, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, maybe like 6:30 or 7. I'll come back Eastern and we'll do the Kohlberger stuff. All right, guys. So I'm out of here. Love you. I'll catch you later in about 2 hours. Okay? You just got a notification for Twitch? Oh. Bye. Adios. Bloop, 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 bloop. Ladies, leave a man out. Bloop, 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 bloop.